So as Ed just suggested, there are really new worries tonight about millions of Americans ending up ultimately with no coverage at all. Remember, nearly 6 million people have already seen their insurance canceled under Obamacare. Those plans run out at the end of the year, which, as we all know, is very close. But as of the end of November, less than 365,000 people had actually enrolled for a new plan. We heard this from Kathleen Sebelius yesterday. Another 800,000 have been declared eligible for Medicaid-type programs. It's been a huge, much larger number of those who have come in. Still, this leaves millions more who must sign up and must pay. Pay is the part that has not been seeing any follow-through here so far for a plan that the deadline was originally just 12 days from today. So get this, just hours ago, the Obama administration changed the rules yet again to a bill and a law that they say was passed by Congress. Chris Direwalt, Fox News digital politics editor and host of Power Play on FoxNews.com Live. Chris, good evening. Good to see you.
Hi, Martha.
All right, let's talk about this. Let's start with this issue, this sort of easing the restrictions, easing some of the dates for when all of this has to happen. What do they mean?
Well, look, let's scrape aside all the hooey on this. There's a lot of talk about what they'd like insurance companies to do, that it would be great if insurance companies would do things that were less profitable or impossible, frankly, in some of the cases. What this is important because it's a tacit admission from the administration that millions of people are facing this coverage gap, and they are going to essentially We are approaching the moment anyway when the administration, the president, is going to deem individuals to have insurance who do not. Because as you talked about, you've got more than 5 million policies nixed because of the law. You have hundreds of thousands of people who have signed up. We don't know how many of those people are new enrollees. We don't know how many of the Medicaid people are these folks who have been downgraded to the welfare program. We don't know anything about that because they certainly don't share with us or the public. So we have no idea how many millions of people are facing the gap. We're 11 days away from the deadline. This is them saying there is going to be some creative accounting and creative defining as we get into January.
Yeah. What about this PolitiFact lie of the year, Chris? What do you make of that?
Well, depending on how the next 8 or 10 weeks go, it may end up being the lie of the decade. If they can't find a way, and this is all part of the same piece, because these people are suffering the consequences of this deception. For these folks, if it's as bad as it is shaping up to be, and they're into deeming people, the government calls people insured, but they can't get care, they're trying to make people get into the doctor doesn't want to take them. If this ends up being a train wreck of that magnitude, this is a lie that changes not just how people feel about the president now, but alters the trajectory about how Americans feel about the government and how they feel about liberal concepts to be intervening in their lives.
I mean, you think about the whole idea of calling the insurance company for the doctor and saying, hey, can you float me on this?
Right.
I mean, imagine that in any scenario, even in the past, and now it seems like it would be just a whole lot harder. I want to show you this Twitter picture, Chris, that we've been looking at as well, that the White House put out. There's the president with a big smile, hashtag get covered, encouraging people to tweet this message. And then there's sort of a more comical version that has been put out there as well. Hashtag don't worry, I've got $1 trillion coin to fix all this.
That's the...
right? Really funny.
Well, but remember, where does $1 trillion coin come from? That's
exactly
what liberals asked the president to do about the debt ceiling, was mint $1 trillion coin and call the debt ceiling lifted. The problem with all this magical thinking and unicorn business where you just, well, we're going to deem you insured and we're going to deem the debt ceiling lifted and we're going to do all of this, not only does it excuse the president from actually governing, but it erodes confidence from the people who actually make the country, that is to say, the taxpayers and citizens.
Yep. Chris, thank you very much. Chris Direwalt. Tell us what you think. Go to Facebook.com/KellyFile and let us know what you think about all this so far. We got a lot more coming up in this hour.